is Kim Mavon, and I am the 2021 board chair. Today is a great day with some important updates ahead, and we appreciate you taking time to join us today. I will be sharing the agenda with our immediate past chairman, Don Williamson. Don, take it away.
Thanks, Kim. Today's event is sponsored by Corona Regional Medical Center. Corona Regional Medical Center is a 238-bed community hospital network comprised of a 160-bed acute care hospital and a 78-bed rehabilitation campus. It is certified by the Joint Commission, employs more than 1,000 trained health care workers, and has a medical staff of approximately 300 physicians representing more than 40 specialties. During these difficult times, Corona Regional Medical Center and their professional staff are working around the clock for the care of so many people. They are enthusiastic and longtime supporters of the Corona Chamber of Commerce, and we appreciate them so much and thank them for sponsoring our call today. Kim?
Thank you, Don. A reminder, please use the chat button to ask any questions. Not everyone on this call will be able to see the chat. If you have a specific question for one of the speakers, please type it into the chat box and Linda Richards, today's Corona Chamber host, will verbally ask the question at the appropriate time. Don?
As we tell you on a very consistent basis, membership in the Corona Chamber of Commerce is vitally important to the business community here in Corona. This call is one of the benefits of being a member of the Corona Chamber of Commerce. And if you happen to be on this call, and if you're not a member, please look into becoming a member. We have a gentleman named Robert Yanez, who is our membership development specialist. You can give him a call after this call, and he can tell you about all the advantages to joining the Corona Chamber of Commerce. We're on a regional landscape. We're not bound by anything geographical. So everyone in our region is invited and welcome to join and take care of the benefits. If you're a member already and you refer to someone who becomes a member, well, then as a little bonus for you, you get a free advertisement in the Corona Business News. So please consider it today and contact Robert with anyone who you think would be interested. Thanks. Kim?
Thanks, Don. This Friday, January 15th, is our Good Morning Corona, which will be hosted virtually this month. We are excited to have keynote speaker Barry E. Knight. Those of you who heard him speak at our Coffee with an Entrepreneur know that he is a captivating speaker and has an electrifying coaching style. He has coached hundreds of executive leaders and teams in the US and internationally, and has been the keynote speaker for Fortune 500 companies. His topic is called Execute Your Strategy for the New Year. He will give us some great ideas on how to kick off 2021 and set up your year for success. This month's meeting is sponsored by Vulcan Materials. Register using the bit.ly shown on the screen. Don?
There are also two important upcoming deadlines the small businesses should be aware of. The California Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program, the deadline to submit is today at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. Well, the application period for the California Competes tax credit will close on January 25th. So today at 11:59 and January 25th, please mark those on the screen that you see. We will send links for these in the follow-up email that you get from today's program. Kim?
As we enter what we hope will be a very different year, effective COVID-19 vaccines are being administered and a light is starting to emerge at the end of the pandemic tunnel. But huge questions still abound. Join the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce on January 14th as one of the nation's most accurate forecasters, Dr. Christopher Thornburg, as he delivers answers to 2021's more critical questions. Use the link to register directly with the IE Regional Chamber of Commerce. Next, we will welcome Bobby Spiegel, Corona Chamber's President and CEO, to introduce Audrey Eshno, who has been hired as the new Executive Director and CEO for the YMCA. Bobby?
Thank you so much, Kim. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be the one that actually brings on Audrey. I got an opportunity to meet her about a month ago, and then in this last month, we have just been killing it as far as connecting. Audrey immediately joined our Executive Leadership Roundtable program that is for executives. We had our first program last week. Audrey is a ray of sunshine. She is going to continue to build upon the solid foundation that the former CEO of the YMCA, our beloved Yolanda Carrillo, who is just went into retirement, but has left the YMCA in such great hands. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Audrey.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. And thank you, Bobby, for that warm introduction. I just had lunch with Yolanda yesterday, and although retired, she is very helpful and lively as ever. So it's my honor to stand on her shoulders and to take the Y to the next step. She's just been amazing thus far. So I'm so happy to be here. Although I'm new to this community, I have been with the YMCA for 21 years. I know. That's a very long time, but I'm really happy to be a part of the Y. My most recent assignment was with the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles, where I was the executive director of the Hollywood YMCA. So I come from a big metropolitan area and could not be happier to come to this community and get involved. Like you said, Bobby, I've been warmly welcomed and have already taken part in some Rotary meetings and the ELR program with the Chamber. So I'm very excited. I look forward to meeting everybody in person as well as through Zoom. And please know that the Y stands ready to continue to serve our communities in the area of youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Audrey, and welcome to Corona. I know we've connected on a few levels already, and I'm really excited to have her as part of this community. We're so excited to also see your leadership at the YMCA. You have big shoes to fill. All right. On Monday, February 8th, we have the privilege of hearing from Elijah Stacy, a young and dynamic entrepreneur making a huge impact with his nonprofit Destroy Duchenne, which is a genetically fatal disease that he and his siblings have. Even though he has the disease, he is passionate about fighting and helping doctors to find a cure. Join this free event held in partnership with the City of Corona. RSVP now using the link on the screen. Remember, all bit.ly links are case sensitive. Don?
If this is the first time you're hearing about any of today's announcements, we really encourage you to follow us on our social media accounts. We have a lot going on and we don't want you to miss anything. It's the best way to get real-time updates on what's in store for you as our members. We also have fun contests as ways to promote our businesses and your businesses. So check us out on your preferred channels. We'd love to engage with you. This is something we've really concentrated in the last few months, is putting a more accessible social media program. So please check us out today. Kim?
Thank you, Don. At this time, I'm pleased to welcome our Corona Mayor, Jacque Casillas. Mayor Casillas has been a resident of Corona her entire life. She attended CNUSD schools and graduated UC San Diego with a bachelor's degree in political science, and then went on to get a master's degree in public policy from UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs. She has been involved in our community with civic engagement, voter registration, youth groups, healthcare, and a whole lot more. She was elected to Corona City Council District 1 in 2018. In December 2020, she was selected by her colleagues to be the mayor for this year. Please welcome Corona City Mayor Jacque Casillas.
Good morning. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Don, and everyone. It's good to see you all virtually, and it's very, very nice to just be with you again. I have 3 things to share out today. The first is a presentation from City Manager Ellis. I just want to share a slide from that. The second is some dates that are coming up, and the third is our message from our Office of Economic Development. So just a few things to talk to you about. Let's jump right in. Last time I was with you in December, we had a little bit of a review of all the things that we've been able to get done during a pandemic year and during the 2020 calendar year, which was a surprise to us all. And I shared orally all the things that we've been able to get through, and it was just a short list. I wanted to give you a visual of some of the items and how it is that we look at the progress we're making as a city. So I'm not going to go through this since we talked about it in December, but I just wanted to highlight that these are kind of the areas of a good functioning city and all of the tasks that got done in spite of a year that really threw us all for a loop. Things that I know you all are very interested in, like financial assessments, long-term financial planning, infrastructure issues, economic development strategies, downtown redevelopment, policies, making sure that our purchasing process is solid, all of those fiscal issues that make sure that we're running an efficient city hall, or amongst the many projects that we got done in 2020. So although the year was a difficult one, and in some ways it felt like a lot of our plans kind of went out the window, I just wanted to show you all visually the fact that, we're still doing the work. Our staff is still doing the work. You all are still doing the work, and good progress is still being made. So I will share this. I've already shared this slide with Bobby and the team. Maybe he'll include it in an email to you all. If you're interested in the full breakdown of a 2020 year in review, I encourage you to watch our last city council meeting, where City Manager Jacob Ellis went through each item and really spoke to the progress that we've made as a city. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to highlight some upcoming dates that are pretty big for us. Something that I'd love to get your perspective on, and hope that you as business owners and entrepreneurs and community leaders can provide feedback and your own perspective. Coming up in January, our January study session, as you know, every fourth Wednesday of the month is reserved for a study session. This month's study session will cover the strategic plan. We talked about this in December when I was with you all. We are already full into our strategic plan revamp. We've had a community input, we've had a council workshop, we have a consultant really helping bring all of those elements together. And so we're in the final phase, and there will be one more community meeting. I'll be sure to share that date and information with Bobby, where it will be held virtually. This wasn't the intention when we started in 2020, but we're rolling with the punches. And really what we're looking for is your feedback on, are we heading in the right direction? What else would you like to see? Is there anything that we're missing? We've had over 1,000 city residents respond and give us their perspective, fill out an engaging poll, and participate in these community meetings. So we really want your input in this final community meeting. And then I'd love for you to attend, or at least send us your thoughts ahead of the council study session on January 27th, which is when we're really going to finalize that draft of the strategic plan, which will be a plan for us as a city for the next 3 to 5 years. Also coming up is the February Council Financial Workshop. This is going to happen on February 11th. Again, you don't have to wait until these moments to reach out to us and tell us what you're thinking. You can always give us a call, send us an email. We're always available to you. I'll share my cell phone in the group chat, and it's also available online. You can call or text me anytime. But so in February will be essentially step 1 to the city budget process. We as a council will get together, we'll work with staff, have an entire day of information and presentations to go through items that we've covered, items that are coming up in the next calendar or next fiscal year, and really set a priority, a financial priority for our city for the next fiscal year. And so that's coming up on February 11th. And so that will be a meeting that will be streamed on all city platforms, and you can participate and provide your input, but you also don't have to wait until then. So that was item number 2 that I wanted to share with you this morning. The last item that I wanted to talk to you about is our Office of Economic Development. If you are not yet receiving our email news letters from the Office of Economic Development, I highly encourage you to sign up. The email address is econdev@coronaca.gov. Again, that's econdev@coronaca.gov. So our economic development team is sending out these newsletters with information that is right up your alley, and probably things that you want to hear about, and you want to see how the city is responding and how we can partner. In the very latest email, which just went out on Tuesday, we highlighted some upcoming opportunities. The first is there's a webinar for Corona manufacturers on January 27th from 1 to 3 p.m. This is a COVID-19 workplace safety for manufacturers, best practices and guidance for protecting your workforce. So if you're interested in that, please join us. There's a link to register, and we want to be able to provide this information and help as best we can. The second item that was covered on Tuesday's email was the launch of the personal protective equipment grants for businesses. We are using CARES Act funds to go right into the hands of our business owners who can receive grants of up to $5,000 to reimburse costs for personal protective supplies and equipment. The city grant it reinforces the city's support for its businesses and community, and will assist businesses as you all implement necessary social distancing requirements in accordance with federal and state guidelines to protect public health and employee health. To be eligible, you need to just be in the city of Corona and been in existence since March 4th of 19. And there are up to 45 grants available for eligible businesses. If you're interested, we encourage you to please review the documents and apply. The application period will close when funds are exhausted or until December 31st of 2022, whichever comes first. So stay up to date on those emails, sign up to receive those emails from our economic development team. And there's more to come from the economic development team, who is working diligently, just put out a request for a downtown strategic plan. I mean, we're thinking larger than just the mall. We need to really develop a cohesive plan for economic revitalization of our entire downtown. And so that's coming down the pike. And the team is growing and working intentionally with you all, with Bobby in the chamber, to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. So as always, I'm available for questions. I also want to let you know about my cell phone number. It's a new number, so I'm just going to share it with you all right now. It's 951-833-6951. Again, that's 951-833-6951. You can reach out to me directly, questions, comments, if you just want to chat, or if you want to give me feedback on where you think we should be headed as a city. I'm always available for you.
Thank you, Mayor Casillas. Linda, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have a couple. Regarding that grant that you just discussed, would you be able to put in the chat maybe the link that they can sign up for that or look at it more?
You got it.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is regarding cannabis, and are there applications available from the city yet?
Those are coming. Here we go. That's the website, the CDBG site to get more information about the grants. Cannabis is coming. The application process is scheduled to begin this year, early this year. I haven't received the latest update. The last estimate, which we received late last year, was that it would be in the month of January, but don't worry, everyone is on everyone is on edge, or not on edge, but like waiting for these applications to go live. We will be sure to send it out. If you're not part of or if you haven't looked at our cannabis portal, please go on our website, just enter in the top right green bar, cannabis. You'll be taken to our cannabis portal. All of the activity that has happened so far about cannabis and about cannabis applications can be found there. And you will learn about it, and we will put out a press release, but it'll be available for folks to apply once that is ready to go.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. The state has announced that the state budget picture is much stronger than previously predicted. Can you explain how business owners can participate in the city's budget process?
Yes, so the state budget and the city budget are two different things, but how you all can participate in the city budget, I highly recommend getting involved early. Keep your eye out with this February council financial workshop that's happening on the 11th. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you think is a priority. As you know, there's general funds, and then there's funds, or there's a budget, and then there's general funds. So there's money that must go to keeping the lights on and keeping us moving. And then there's a few dollars, there's a fraction of those budgets that actually goes to general fund, and we can actually maneuver. So let us know what your priorities are. If you feel strongly that we should be investing in one area instead of another area, that's the kind of feedback that I internalize, and I know my colleagues do too. And so when we're sitting in those seats and of making decisions of where we're putting these our priorities and where the 2021, 2022 budget will head, we take that into account. So if you want to see more parks, or if you want to see more police, I mean, the unfortunate part is that our budget isn't necessarily the same as the state budgets. And so our resources, like the states, actually are limited. And if you go in one way, sometimes it takes from another. But we want to hear your feedback, because this is a collective and collaborative process.
Thank you. The next question. The city has been supportive of businesses during the emergency orders. Going forward, what are some ways business owners can continue to work with the city on preparing to reopen wisely and safely?
I think you hit the nail on the head that we've been working closely. There's been a lot of open communication. You know that we are trying to ensure that, you know, businesses don't feel added strain from government during this very difficult time. And so we've really been taking a proactive measure with education rather than a heavier arm with enforcement. And so we will continue to work along those lines with businesses, and hope that everyone can make the best decisions and stay healthy and safe. So you have our commitment to continue in that route. And we are in very close contact, cell phone call away, sometimes multiple times a day, from our folks and our friends at the chamber. So you always have access to us. And even if you don't want to go through the chamber, you can talk to us directly. We really are here to help. And so if you think there's something else that we can do, or if you have any ideas, you can reach out to us directly. But you have our commitment moving forward to continue with strong communication and to try not to add any other layer of burden.
Thank you, Mayor. That's the last of the questions that I have.
Thank you, Linda. All right, Mayor Casillas already brought up this event, but we feel it's such a good one, we're going to mention it again. In cooperation with the city, we're offering a COVID-19 workplace safety for manufacturers, best practices and guidance for protecting your workforce webinar. It will be on Wednesday, January 27th from 1 to 3 p.m. This is a free workshop via Zoom, so register now to get the information you need to keep your workers safe. Dawn?
Good job, Madam Mayor. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Paul Webb, training sign up. We're excited again to have sales trainer Paul Webb with his very popular Sales Master Course. His expertise in neuro-linguistic programming helps you to understand how to teach people to buy from you. He will teach you how to change the way you do business forever. Together with the city, this program is offered for free if you register by February 17th. After February 17th, registration will be $25 for members and $75 for non-members, so register today. Kim.
Thank you, Dawn. With the increase in COVID cases and this new strain, our healthcare heroes are facing huge challenges and fatigue. The Corona Chamber Foundation, in partnership with the Frontline Appreciation Group of Corona, or FLAG, will be collecting funds to provide meals of gratitude to these tireless workers. Through this program, meals are purchased at local eateries, thus offering further economic support to our community. Within the last week, FLAG was able to offer meals to Corona Regional Medical Center and Kaiser Urgent Care Heroes that were purchased from Super Taco, Organic Junkie, and Divine, a Mediterranean Express. No amount is too small, and every $10 donation gets one meal delivered. Donations can be made at givebigcorona.com or by check payable to the Chamber Foundation. At this time, it brings me great pleasure to introduce our legislative advocate, Jeff Gibson. Jeff keeps a pulse on what's happening in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and then reports to us so we can stay updated. These updates allow us to act timely on projects and initiatives that help make a difference in shaping our community. His knowledge of complex political issues and great relationships ensure the Corona Chamber has all the tools to be effective. So many businesses and individuals are suffering right now, and if you're not regularly plugged into these calls and reading our emails, you're missing out on so much action being taken on behalf of the business community. Please help me welcome Jeff Gibson to elaborate and bring you up to speed. Jeff?
Oh, there we go. All right. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. So the governor has released his 5-year recovery plan. And as we spoke about this year, one of the major things that we are going to be working on with the city is their required update to the housing element. We've discussed in the platform that the city is going to have to start to plan. That means plan, not necessarily build, for 6,600 affordable units approximately. And to build those units, they are going to need to also account for market rate housing that would subsidize the building of the affordable units. The affordable units are required by the state. They were apportioned out, 1.8 million of them across the state to every county except for Marin County, which was relieved of any responsibility there. And so 57 counties have a very high affordable numbers that they need to reach. As we've discussed in the past, if the city or a county or a regional agency decides to build the affordable housing on its own, that housing runs upwards of, in the case of LA County, their recent audit found that affordable housing is costing them about $600,000 per unit. So most cities, almost 90% plus affordable units are developed as part of a larger market rate, as part of a market rate project. That means that the city of Corona is likely going to be having a housing element that accounts for tens of thousands of new houses, because you need to build about 6 to 7 market rate houses to build an affordable unit. So if that math works out. Now, that doesn't mean that the city of Corona has fallen in love with construction or any of that. Not that new units would be wrong, but to fulfill its state obligations, it needs to consider and figure that out. As a good partner with the city, we are working to make sure that while the state is demanding additional affordable housing units, which we all laud as a good goal to have, that if we are going to be adding units, we need to be adding the transportation and other infrastructure that we know we need, because we suffered from 1986 to 2002 without a new lane mile or lane inch on the 91 freeway or the 15 freeway. So we've been victimized by this before. So that's why our platform focuses on, okay, state, okay, city, we all want to be good partners. That means that we have to be investing in our roadways and our multimodal trains and all great things. And so to that, the governor has released his what he's calling the California for All plan for full recovery of the state from the emergencies of 2020, which we all laud. And here are 5 of the initial pieces in terms of transportation and infrastructure funding, drawn directly from his plan, precisely as he describes them. And so wanted to run through those very quickly. Happy to take questions from you, and we can go down these. The first is 1.6 billion to renovate 6 government buildings in Sacramento and buy 2 others. That was, and we're listing them in his priority order. How the governor listed them in his priority order, we are listing them. So we're trying to be just straight apples to apples. This is what the governor is proposing, and this is the field of play that we're working on when we go to Sacramento or work with our folks to advocate for them. So this is the priority that they established. This is the priority we're working with. Their second priority, so their first priority is there are 6 government buildings that have been deemed necessary to be renovated in downtown Sacramento. That will cost approximately $1.2 billion to do that, and then to buy 2 other buildings for state agency headquarters. So that's the first priority. The second priority is to spend $1.1 billion for high-speed rail to complete the construction portion, not the operations portion. The portion that's being constructed right now will not be operational. There will not be trains on it. From just south of Merced, so it's just outside of the city of Merced, to just north of Bakersfield. Again, that line won't be operational, but it will be completed with an additional $1.1 billion coming from Proposition 1A. Their third priority is $1.3 billion for roads, bridges, and transportation in congested corridors. That would put, so $1.3 billion for all 58 counties to compete for if you have a congested corridor. So think the 91, think the 15, think the 405, think the 5. There would be there's an item called the State Transportation Improvement Plan, which is listed as the 4th. So there's an additional, so we've got the pieces of the puzzle where there's $1.3 billion for roads, bridges, and transportation. Then there's $3.1 billion in the State Transportation Improvement Plan for trains and alternative transportation. So $1.3 billion basically for those that use cars, $3.1 billion for those that use trains and alternative transportation, and then finally they're rounding out the top 5 of the transportation infrastructure plan, and this is a plan for 5 years in a state that spends $232 billion, is $1 billion in partnership funds with local agencies, including the Riverside County Transportation Commission. So the Riverside County Transportation Commission, as we know, has a long list of projects, including additional expansions on the 91, on the 15. We work very hard with them to support them in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. The state has accorded $1 billion for local partnership funds. So all totaled, about $2.3 billion for all the roads, bridges, and what we call surface transportation, or CARS, in California, and $3.1 billion for trains, and then $1.1 billion for high-speed trains, and $1.6 billion for the renovation of government buildings in Sacramento. So those are the governor's priorities currently with the budget. The budget picture has greatly improved due to the large increase in the payment of capital gains taxes by at-home workers. So the secondary aspect that is going to be a long-term change are polling that is available from a number of different sources shows that about 30% of white-collar workers who started working at home for the first time during this emergency would prefer to stay at home. Well, that number is not going to actually end up panning out. Obviously, employers would like them to be at home. For the first time, there are a lot of workers that are considering staying at home. So with more workers staying at home, that will affect the pattern of congestion in places like Corona and the commute pattern. We are putting that into trying to understand how to measure that with our partners in the Corona 2025 plan, and we will be talking to you about that in the future. So happy to discuss anything else. I saw one question come in that I wasn't able to catch, but happy to discuss whatever you would have.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We really can't thank you enough for bringing this information to our group each and every week. Linda, do we have any questions for him?
Yes, so regarding the government buildings that need to be renovated, can you elaborate on those, maybe which buildings they are and maybe what needs to be done to them?
There are six support buildings for government agencies around the Capitol Mall area in the city of Sacramento. So they're within walking distance of the state capitol. So there are six that are currently owned, and then two that would be purchased. One of those that would be purchased would become the new legislative annex complex. If you've gone on our Sacramento trips or been to Sacramento on your own and seen a tour, there is the old Capitol building, which is the classic building that most of us think of, with the dome and the turn of the last century architecture with the 25-foot ceilings and stone architecture. And then there is the modern annex on the back of that was built immediately after was started building in 1958, and has the lower ceilings. It does not have sprinklers. It does not have a number of different items, and is generally very crowded by the offices and the hearing rooms for the Capitol. They will be, that building it's been decided will be removed over time, while a building across the street is constructed to modern standards, includes sprinklers, and all manner of different items, and the Capitol is largely restored to what it would have looked like previously. And so that's part of that construction plan as well. But unless you're interacting with those buildings on a daily basis, that's where generally the leadership for the agencies are going to be.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Linda. Installation is coming up. Sponsorships and tickets are now available for the virtual installation and awards gala on February 25th. We will thank Don Williamson for his leadership in 2020, install our new board of directors, and present awards to some incredible businesses and individuals. I will also be sharing my vision as your incoming chair. Use the bit.ly link in the upper right corner of the image on your screen to find out more about sponsorship opportunities or to register. We're offering early bird pricing through January 25th. You can also contact one of our chamber staff members to assist you with sponsorship, registration, or to answer any questions. Don?
Thanks, Kim. As a member benefit and based on contributions received last year, the Corona Chamber is proud to offer each member one free labor poster. These posters always had a cost associated with them in the past, but thanks to our staff able to think outside the box and make some arrangements, everybody gets one for free this year. Additional posters can be purchased, and they're available in both English and Spanish versions. Just as a side note, if you have staff working remotely at home or elsewhere, California state law requires that each offsite employee be furnished with one of these posters in their preferred language. 2021 employment law posters are now in stock and can be picked up at the chamber office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Kim?
Thank you, Don. Available now, the chamber has a new mobile app. You can post promotions for your business, find out what's happening, and a whole lot more. This is a big deal, and we can't wait for all of you to download it. Don?
I would like to again remind you that if you're not a member of the Corona Chamber of Commerce, or if you know someone who should be a member and would benefit from our membership, please contact Robert Yanez, our membership development specialist. Meetings like these are just one of the many benefits. We just talked about the free labor posters, and you're part of an active, thriving organization that's been in Corona for over 110 years now. We have incentives for both joining and referring. So please call Robert for more information. The more members we have, the more effective we are, and the better representation we can give to our business community. Kim.
Next, we'd like to welcome Assemblymember Sabrina Cervantes. Assemblymember Cervantes was elected in November of 2016 to represent California's 60th Assembly District, which includes the cities of Corona, Eastvale, Jurupa Valley, Norco, and a portion of Riverside, and unincorporated communities of Home Gardens, El Cerrito, and Coronita. She currently serves as chair of the Assembly Committee on Jobs, Economic Development, and the Economy, aka JED. Please welcome Assemblymember Sabrina Cervantes.
Hello, thank you so much. It's good to be back with the Corona Chamber. And, I do have a few staff online today with us virtually. I do want to acknowledge my Jobs Committee consultant, Tony Simons, who's a great resource. I know many of you have been in communication with her as we discuss jobs and economic development throughout the state. I also have a few of my staffers who you all are very familiar with. But in my capacity as an Assembly member, I also serve as chair of the Assembly Jobs Committee, which really oversees state policies and programs that have a direct impact to small business development, international trade, foreign investment, ports, and our state's logistical network, but also economic development issues. This is actually my third term serving on the committee, but second session as chair of the committee. I want to just give you some COVID-19 updates as it relates to our priorities for the committee, and then go into some of the governor's proposed budget that was not discussed by Jeff, where I know that we got some key highlights. Thank you, Jeff, for touching base on that. But since March of 2020, our committee has really focused on connecting the dots between policy and practice in order to create a stronger economic environment that sustains all of Californians. We've heard from businesses all across the state regarding COVID-19 impact, the health restrictions on their businesses. We've really prioritized the need to build back better by addressing systemic inequities that have historically held back entrepreneurs of color and women-owned businesses. So really within that framework, what we've been focusing on, I will touch on three key issues. Small business development. JEDI has supported efforts to help firms access capital, technical assistance, government procurement opportunities, and that really, when it's necessary, we're also engaging in regulatory reform, which I know has been a topic of discussion with many businesses as well. But some of our key takeaways and examples of the work has included $500 million grant program for small businesses and nonprofits. Many of you are aware of that. Today, the deadline to apply is at 11:59 today. This is going to be the first round of funding for this grant. There will be a second round of funding. But throughout this work, we have really emphasized accountability and the need to serve businesses and nonprofits throughout the state, not just LA or Bay Area based. We've also championed $100 million to recapitalize for the recapitalization of small business loan guarantee program. We've hosted a number of webinars. There's also a website of resources for small businesses, including information on federal and state programs. Again, these are free webinars, and we just want to make sure that businesses are able to tap into this because we want to ensure that they are receiving dollars right here in the Inland Empire. I have been convening a number of small business roundtables to really track issues in real time and develop program changes to address these issues. I've briefed member offices on challenges that small businesses that they've been facing during the pandemic. We've called on the governor to place a moratorium on new regulations that are impacting small businesses. And I've also worked with my colleagues in the Senate to author legislation that was approved last session for a $100 million tax credit to support small businesses in the hiring of additional workers. So those are just a few key highlights when it comes to the small business development portion. I want to also touch on career pathways. The Assembly Jobs Committee has really been working on economic recovery policies that support the upskilling and better alignment of workforce training opportunities within our region, which includes K through 12, community colleges, and also other public and private nonprofit education partners. There's some key takeaways here that I'll highlight, but I also want to make sure that we support our veterans and others who often really experience obstacles in accessing just basic and advanced training which do lead to living wage jobs. And so some of the ways that we've been able to really focus on resources there has been $300 million to support technical programs, $150 million to the California Career Technical Education Incentive Program. And so these are just some key takeaways I wanted to highlight with you. The last issue is manufacturing. We've been focusing on the needs of California manufacturers. It's really no secret that businesses and schools and also healthcare providers need PPE in order to open and operate safely. So early on, we've called on the governor to establish a manufacturer response and recovery initiative to jumpstart California's economic recovery, to really protect the health and safety of our residents in the future as well. Some of these recommendations include permitting, called for permit streamlining, waiving and postponement of fees, financial support for retooling manufacturers. So I wanted to just highlight some of those key issues. I've also jointly authored legislation, AB 3307 with Assemblymember Garcia, which would create a new disaster response finance program for manufacturers who produce specific products needed in case of an emergency. This bill actually got held up in the Senate Appropriation Committee. We are considering its reintroduction in this legislation cycle. We've also focused on partnering with participating in public awareness campaigns, such as the Shop Safe, Shop Local, and the Safety Making California campaigns, which is really a new online platform where California manufacturers can buy and sell PPE, including masks, gloves, and plexiglass partitions. Some of our 2021 committee priorities will be focused on the economic recovery. And so one of the big goals will be to rebuild an inclusive economy that supports economic recovery, upward mobility, and economic security for all Californians. So just touching on some of the key takeaways from the governor's budget that was proposed, he released a $227 billion expenditure plan for 2021-2022. Which he describes as making significant investments in helping really catalyze equitable, inclusive, and broad-based economic recovery. The proposed budget really reflects a $16 billion budget surplus based on last year's revenues estimates. And there is some top-level investments in combating COVID-19 and our economic recovery, which includes $14.5 billion, an investment designed to support economic recovery with a focus on those Californians who have been most impacted by the pandemic, $90 billion to support California schools, which is the largest commitment to public K-12 education in our history, $34 billion in actions to strengthen the state's fiscal position, which includes providing budget reserves, and discretionary surplus deposits, and also $372 million to speed up administration of vaccines across the state throughout all 58 counties. Some investments in economic recovery that I like to highlight is $4.5 billion for the equitable recovery for Californians' business and job plans, which includes $777.5 million for California job initiatives, $340 million for the California Competes tax credits, and also $100 million to expand the Main Street small business tax credit. And so one other big proposed pot of funding is $35 million to expand the California Dream Fund, which is something that we've been working on. I've been working on as well last session. This is a program that's intended to provide seed grants to social entrepreneurs and small businesses in underserved communities, including the Latinx and immigrant-owned businesses. There is also a proposed, the $500 million grant program that I spoke to you about earlier, the deadline's today. There is a proposed $575 million to expand that program to small businesses and nonprofits that have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. Again, these are all proposals by the governor. We have a lot of work before us in the legislature to look at what the governor proposed and what our response and feedback will be. But I do want to just let you know, for those of you that are joining us today, if you have any feedback relating to economic development, the proposals that I just highlighted today, please contact my JETI committee office. You can contact Tony Simons, our consultant, who's again a great resource for both our committee and our community. You can also contact my district office in Corona regarding any of the provisions within the budget. But just in closing, we really are going to continue prioritizing the adoption of these programs to really meet the needs and have measurable results. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are looking out for everyone and that we have a solid path to recovery, and we recover better than our last recession. So that is just some really brief highlights, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Cervantes. Linda, do we have any questions for her?
Yeah, we have a couple. There was one question, and it looks like it was answered by one of your staff about the second round of grants and when it would be available. And just to get it verbally out there, that they haven't been announced yet. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we're really looking at this first round of funding. We are working with the administration, the governor's office, on once we receive data from this first round of funding, we want to make sure that it is being equitable and dispersed equitably. And that is something that we need to ensure first before we look at a second round of funding. But again, that has not been released. And perhaps I want to make sure that, Tony, are you on? Are you able to emphasize?
Yes, this is Tony. So we are actually asking for additional specific information about the first round, as the Assembly member said. The governor is asking for another $575 million would be the third round of the grant funding. But as I said, the legislature is going to be asking for additional money about that, or additional information about that.
Okay, next question. Who do we contact at your office to share about our manufacturers and businesses who are creating PPE? Shop local is great, but Shop Corona is even better. So we want to help be the solution to the COVID.
Yes, no, thank you so much for bringing that up. Please contact Tony Simons directly. That would be ideal. Again, she is our committee consultant, and we can have a conversation with those manufacturers who would like to sit down and meet and explain what's happening right here in Corona.
And Assembly member, I did put my email in the chat to help facilitate that conversation.
Thank you. And everybody does know that you can save that chat before we end the call today. Okay, next question. The governor said that the state should spend $375 million on job training programs. What programs locally do you think that would benefit?
So this is a conversation we're going to need to continue having with our job creators in the region. This is something that is not new to us. We've held field hearings on this. And so we are moving forward with information that we've held previously and what has come out of some of these field hearings, but we're going to continue working with our higher education institutions, because again, it's about aligning our workforce, our skills. That skills gap needs to be addressed. And so we have to have the job creators a part of that conversation. And so that is what our office is also looking at doing, is having subsequent conversations with some of these job creators within the region so that we could present really tangible opportunities to the administration as we look at that pot of funding. Tony, any highlights?
Yes, I would just comment on the bill that you actually authored last year that I know that we're considering for this following year, and that's supporting the contract education programs at our local community colleges. The Riverside District has done an exceptional job. They were a co-sponsor on the bill, and that's working through the employment training panel. And of course, the businesses on the line will all know that you're paying into that. Um, we're looking at ways to expand that. And this is where you're actually doing training of new employees and incumbent workers to be sure that they're meeting the needs of businesses directly.
Great. Okay, and the last question I have, with New York announcing that they are safely and wisely beginning to reopen their state, what can we do as business owners to work with your office to be ready for potential changes in emergency orders?
Just stay in contact with my district office. You know, this is something that's very important to us as we communicate with the governor's administration. You know, we certainly want to make sure that we are providing, you know, what we're hearing on the ground for our businesses and elevating that to the governor's office. We want to work with all the businesses who we know that you are struggling, and we are trying to be partners with you. And so if you can reach out to my office directly and provide you know, just perhaps solutions and keeping updated with what we are hearing from the governor's administration. This is the best way. The best way to do so is perhaps maybe if you can drop your email into this chat, and we can include you in our e-blast, in our updates that's provided to the community. My staff will take down your email addresses and we can follow up with you directly.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's all the questions I have for today.
Thank you again, Assemblymember Cervantes, for joining us here today. We'd once again like to thank today's sponsor, Corona Regional Medical Center. You can visit their website at coronaregional.com. Don?
We had a great call today. You got to hear directly from our representative at the state level and from our city representative. And next week, we're going to hear from our county representative. So next Wednesday, for more advocacy updates and to hear Riverside County Supervisor Karen Spiegel and former California State Assembly member and former Corona Mayor Jeff Miller, sign up now so you don't miss it. Put it on your calendar and you'll get a reminder and the link. So next Wednesday and every Wednesday, sign up today. Kim?
We want to express our appreciation to our speakers today for your time and sharing your insight on today's call. And again, we also want to thank Corona Regional Medical Center for sponsoring today's call. If you'd like to sponsor a future business briefing, contact Linda or Bobby at the chamber. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone. Our meeting is adjourned.